you could be playing this game for like 100 hours.
I want to make my character's third finger be purple.
I think they just didn't think that through.
I haven't met the Final Fantasy XIV mob yet.
Where's my Gil? Welcome to Talk on gTV. I'm Inel Tomlinson, subbing in for Jayan Lopez. You don't realize this, but you, yourself, roleplay on a daily basis. When you turn up on a date holding the complete works of Shakespeare, in reality, the last book you read was Nuddy Girls to Toilet. In job interviews, when you tell your prospective employer that your biggest fault is perfection, when in reality, the only thing you've been perfecting is procrastination for the last 10 years.
Working hard or hardly working?
Don't we all wear masks in society?
We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking.
Roleplay involves playing another character, developing it and building up its backstory and missions amongst the community. In short, role-playing games can turn you into Samuel Jackson. Mother. So here's my acting Oscar for Red Dead Redemption 2. I weren't in it, but when I was playing it, I was role-playing like this, I was. There's no talking roleplay without talking Dungeons & Dragons, one of the first tabletop role-playing games created in the 70s. All you needed was a table, some salty snacks, a dungeon master, and players ready to play imaginary characters, each with their own list of do's and don'ts, woulds and wouldn'ts. D&D characters have ability stats like dexterity and intelligence, upgradable through leveling up, with better weapons available to buy from vendors or find in dungeon. Any of this ringing any bells for gamers? There are several subcategories of video role-playing games. The JRPG, which has a rigid through line, leaving players little choice about their main character's destiny, thus allowing a nice juicy script. The CRPG, which gives players more freedom to roam and focus on dialogues and interaction with non-playing characters.
This damn gun still needs calibrating.
And MMORPG, as the name suggests, massively multiplayer online role-playing games. Yes, even if you die after 15 seconds in Counter-Strike, it's considered a multiplayer role-play experience. In an RPG, there's certain codes to be respected. You need a hero that is fully customizable and has very specific skills and characteristics, experience points, or XP, equipment to pick up and put in an inventory, a character capable of physical and intellectual development, hunger and sleep management, an immersive story with choices to make, alternative endings, and secondary quests, and the right to abuse, ignore, and get rid of your Pikachu in Pokemon. In short, it's like real life, but better, except you can't go around wearing chainmail when you do your grocery shopping. RPGs give hours and hours of joy for gamers and years of work for designers. The simple fact of playing a character and building it your way is a form of roleplay. Via remote servers, role players get to push the envelope and live out real-life role-playing experiences. In GTA RP, players get to choose whoever they want to be. Policeman, mayor, dealer. Watch out though. Admins are keeping a close eye to make sure everyone is playing by the rules. Even shenanigans have their limits. Otherwise, everyone will be selling drugs, killing pedestrians. I mean, can you imagine? No! With a host of servers available, players don't so much play these games, but use them as a support to create real-life experiences and disappear into vast dramas worthy of an episode of The Kardashians. And being able to watch a Kardashian-like drama without having to watch The Kardashians. That's like an ultimate life goal, isn't it? Or a book by Emile Zola. Depends on your reference. In the role of my guests for today are three people involved in RPGs in very different ways. First, we have Stuart DeVille, gaming guru, artist, developer, and co-founder and director at Game Dev London. We also have Chocolate Kieran, Twitch ambassador, specializing in JRPGs. And finally, we have Aurie Styla, actor, writer, comedian, guy does it all. But first off, the first question is, what do RPGs mean to you?
A way to escape reality. I mean, it's kind of how most games are, right? It's a little bit of an escape from reality. But yeah, being able to step out of who I am and step into, or at least attempt to step into what someone else might feel and experience.
Ah, so like in an empathizing kind of way.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, nice. Aurie, what about yourself, man?
It's very similar to like Tamagotchis. You build this character from young and they get older and they grow skills, and it's almost a reflection of sometimes the elements of your own life that you would like to have.
Yeah,
Some of
yeah.
them are a bit ridiculous, like
Yeah.
being able to fly and stuff like that. But it's nice to be able to see a character's development and feel like you're a part of that, even if it is digital.
Yeah, I like that analogy because, like, my Tamagotchis, I always forget to feed it. So it's kind of like me.
I can't believe we're able to still talk about Tamagotchi.
Yo, Tamagotchi's coming back.
Still
Are
around.
they? Oh, no.
Still
Yeah,
around.
always
yeah.
do, yeah, they do, yeah.
Damn.
Kieran, what does role play mean to you, man?
It's, you know, a way to experience like amazing stories, characters, and worlds that just I wouldn't be able to
Wouldn't be
otherwise.
into
you know?
otherwise. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. So what? I guess so. RPG stands for like role-playing games, and I
Yeah.
guess that originated from D&D. Can any of you explain D&D?
Can we explain D&D?
What are the rules of D&D?
It depends on your dungeon master, really.
Okay. So you have a dungeon master that kind of oversees everything.
Yeah, they write the story. Some are better than others. Like there are guys who can just build it all in their head, and that's where it stays. But I mean, although I say that, there are other guys who are better at kind of writing it all down and explaining to the players at the table, like, well, here's how the world works and all this kind of stuff. But I think it's nice when it is kind of just freely developing and like they kind of have some set rules. Like how you make most games, really. You go, these are the rules, and let's see what happens from that.
There's a lot of like improv involved, I guess,
Yeah.
when it comes to like D&D. Kieran, you specialize in JRPGs, like
love
RPG games from originated in Japan or created in Japan. What are your favorites, man?
So asking me my favorite kid. I love Pokemon, of course, which is probably, Pokemon is the one.
It's the one that got me into
Hold on,
Yeah.
hold on, though.
Yeah.
No, not just any Pokemon. What Pokemon games?
This is obviously from nostalgia. Crystal.
Okay.
I love Pokemon Crystal. Pokemon Black and White 2 is probably what I would consider to be the best Pokemon game, which is weird because it might be the least played. Like a lot of people haven't played that one. It's a sequel to Black and White. And then surprisingly, Sun and Moon on the 3DS was actually really good in terms of like its storytelling and characters. So that kind of drew me in a lot, yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I've not played one since Gold and Silver.
Wow, man.
I
yeah.
know.
going back.
Was that
Damn.
90s?
Yeah, that's pre-2000.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Show
like
my
2000,
age, innit?
yeah.
Huh.
Did you feel like it was, when they went past 151, it got so expansive?
I didn't even catch the original 151, bro.
Oh, wow. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm in a similar boat to you. Like I remember, I can't even remember which one I had, but I had it on the Game Boy.
Red or blue, one of the two.
I think it was one of, I have a feeling it was blue, but like, I found it so hard to get into. I just used to kind of throw it away. Like I'd be playing it and be like, no, I'm not getting it.
See, that was also my first experience with playing the games too. Like I think as a kid, I like, didn't really understand what was going on. The mechanics was like a lot. It's kind of crazy. And I kind of got into it because I liked the TV series.
Right.
Yeah.
And then after playing, I think the second generation, so like Silver and Gold and Crystal was when I really started to understand it more and kind of
Okay.
like get the mechanics and the inner workings.
Is that why you like to play these games for like the stories and the characters? Because you
Yeah,
kind of
that-
got introduced by the kind of animes that
Yeah.
was on TV.
A lot of my early experiences with RPGs, now I'm thinking about it, are because I enjoyed an anime or a show and I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, there's a game I can play and kind of
that's
immerse
interesting.
myself in the world of
Yeah.
the series I enjoyed.
When an RPG is made well, it is the gameplay is something you can pick up easily, which is kind of goes against Pokemon, right? Certainly when I was playing it, it was just baffled me. I couldn't understand how to get good, so I didn't get good. But yeah, I think if you're able to just like sit and play, and the story is like just nicely fed to you at like a good pace or whatever, or even games where like the story is fed to you at a pace at which you're playing, as opposed to like being like, oh, they're going to hit this point, they're going to hit that point. There's a lot of RPGs that do it like really well, and I think that's like fundamentally the best way to experience an RPG. One that can deliver the story and not so like, oh, how do I play this? Like you just, you don't
That's really interesting, especially nowadays where I feel like the Pokemon series gets a lot of flack for being like too handheldy, like they feed you too much.
Right.
So kind of like the the opposite from when we started and we were kind of struggling to get into it and understand. Now like I feel like especially kind of like the older generation who have played like the previous games, they're like, oh well, I feel like you're giving me too much, you know? It's like, let me work things out for myself a little bit.
Aurie, do you agree with Stu in terms of like the story is the thing that's the most important in RPG, or are you like a systems guy and you like the way in which you can kind of level up your characters?
No, I'm definitely more the story guy. I think when games get too deep into the variety that you can like change and grow your character. Sometimes it can go so deep into that you forget that there's a story to follow. Everyone focuses on, I want to make my character's third finger be purple and his first finger be green. And it gets too. Do you know what I mean? It gets too. When there's too many variables in terms of making your character unique. It's great in the fact that we can do that, and then you have systems.
I was gonna say, don't you enjoy that kind of representation of how you can kind of create and be unique in that world?
Yes. Over a story though, no. Because when you get to the end of it, even if your character hasn't leveled up the way that you want them to, for me, it's that journey that I like. Being able to say I started here, and even though I may not be, let's take Pokemon for example, even though all of my Pokemon were not level 99, I was able to go from the beginning all the way to the gym, go through the tournament, win, come back, and I'm the winner.
Take out Giovanni, come on.
This is exactly that. This is what I'm saying. So to do all of that for me is where the love for an RPG can be, and then leveling up on the way. If that makes sense.
It's all of the things that are good about real life, right? Like if you focus all of your attention on the material things in your life, how good is your life really going to be?
No, that's
like
nice.
if you don't have, if you're not enjoying your story, your journey, then me personally, I feel like that's a waste of your life. So it's the same thing in RPGs. If you're spending all your time focusing on the character, not experiencing the game and the world, then you're doing it wrong.
It's quite interesting because the reason I say that is because in recent times, we're starting to see games that weren't traditional RPGs to begin with, but people have found ways to adapt those games to become RPGs, like Minecraft and like GTA.
GTA, of course.
GTA roleplay.
Yeah,
at the moment, like the GTA RP is huge.
Crazy big,
And in terms of people being able to kind of create their own second avatar and be able to go out there and roleplay as these characters for real and never break character with other people that are also improvising and role-playing as their characters, their own avatars, and generating kind of organic stories that way. Do you think we're going to see a lot more of that and we're going to see traditional kind of RPGs start to disappear as more and more people jump onto the like GTA's RPGs? Or do you think there's always going to be a space for like traditional kind of RPG, story-written, linear kind of experiences?
I think even outside of gaming, you're starting to see elements of RPG structure. Look at the announcement with Meta. Yes. Being like, it's not a game in essence, but it's a way of living that is very much RPG-esque.
Yes.
There's going to be more games that are going to implement that style of experience where you just jump in and you do what you want to do rather than, and you can level up in any way and create a whole world.
As I said, like Kieran, you love these JRPGs.
Yeah.
There's like is these finely crafted linear experiences like Final Fantasy VII, like
beauty of a game.
That people love the story, they love the characters, but like what's happening at the moment in terms of like Meta and GTA RP is completely different to that, and people are responding to that in a completely different way. Are we going to lose the Final Fantasies, or are the Final Fantasies going to have to adapt, like with 14, to what's happening with the zeitgeist?
I think there will always be a space for linear, story-driven RPGs because there's always going to be a space for movies and TV series, and as long as people enjoy those, I do feel like people can still enjoy immersing themselves in a game that has, a similar type of way of expressing itself, I guess. So, yeah, and like you mentioned with Final Fantasy XIV, it's one of those games that's kind of like the best of both worlds, where people can come in and enjoy the story and play and, like enjoy a linear experience, or they can even just buy level up skip and just do whatever they want with their friends and ignore the story altogether and kind of just live in the game.
And buy a house and everything.
Yeah.
Like some people got mortgages in the game before in real life.
Those people.
Hey, I ain't pointing fingers.
I think the thing with that is that because all of these things are vehicles, right? So whether it's a game or a movie or a book, whatever it is, all of these things are a vehicle for an artist to portray a vision. And I think as long as there's artists, I don't see there being a shortage of those, then there's always going to be a place for linear, like this is a vision that I want to share with people.
Yeah.
I love that, Stu. And actually, a question for you. How do you design a good RPG?
You need to do your homework and you need to, because I could have an idea for one today. I probably do have one but to actually go out there and just start making it would be insane. Like you need to have a look at the market and you need to have a look at what the audience has got and maybe listen to, because the fans will happily tell you when they're not happy. And so if you just listen to that and you listen to it well, you'll see the points where you will know what you could make in order to release a good one.
Yeah, I think, interestingly enough, a company that's really good at taking two different design philosophies is Atlas, because they obviously have like a Shin Megami Tensei, and then they have like the spin-off of those games, which is like Persona. And people tend to love Persona for like the stories and the characters, the character interactions, the fact that even you can build up stats by talking and gifting to characters and kind of form real relationships with them is something that people love. And then there is the SMT, the Shin Megami Tensei side, where it's like, this is just a hard game. You're not really going to make many friends in this story. Like it's like a whole different genre shift, which is why I guess that there's not a huge overlap in the fans of Persona and SMT as a whole.
Do you think MMORPGs are the way to go? Because like for someone like me, I've never touched a traditional MMORPG, mainly because I know I'd get addicted to it. I know I'll love I'll love it so much and I'll feel so invested that I won't put it down.
This is a correct opinion. It's a problem. It took me a year to beat the initial base game for Final Fantasy XIV.
A year?
Wow.
And then the following 2 expansions, that's because I was playing it slowly and also playing, more games, because I love JRPGs, and that's a problem with JRPGs and what I want to talk about with MMOs as well. They're so long, so you can only invest so much time into everything, accordingly as life goes. But I think I finished the next 2 expansions of Final Fantasy XIV within like a week each. So it was like I put in too much time. Like you said, it can be addicting. So I don't want to say that they're the future because there's just too much time.
What are you getting out of MMORPGs that you wouldn't get out of other RPGs that you play with traditional narrative single player experiences?
The community mainly, especially the Final Fantasy XIV community is known for being one of the sweetest and the kindest. Like you can enter, like I think when I entered that game, literally. You play that game and you'll say that a lot. So I think I entered and someone gave me like over 1 million of the currency gil in game just because, like it's crazy. Like people, you come in, you play the game, people will give you money, give you gifts, and it's like,
what did they want in return?
That's
the thing, is they want you to keep playing the game. That's it.
The character that gave you the money about 6 months later. Remember when I gave you that money? Right?
Yeah, you say that.
Remember?
Who's that at the door?
That was a loan. You just didn't know what you were paying back.
I haven't met the Final Fantasy XIV mob yet.
Where's my money? Where's my gil? Do you guys ever play any RPGs wrong? Or do you like breaking some of the rules?
If you can play an RPG that way, is it wrong? It's true. Like, is that wrong? Like, I know there are a lot of people that play Breath of the Wild, like
I was going to say,
very interestingly.
Please go ahead. I was going to jump in. Go ahead, please.
Like that's the game that I can think of that has like so much range that people play differently. Like you can go and get all the divine beasts, and then you can beat Ganon. You can just run up straight to Ganon, try and beat him. Like, what is wrong? If you can do it, why not?
There is still a way to play that game wrong. And I don't know if you see like people who play it online in heavy ways where they mess with the mechanics. So you can hold a rock still, hit it really hard.
And then jump on it and then let it take you where you
Thing
go.
is, they built a specific physics engine into that game,
stuff
right?
like-
So
yeah.
I
Is
know
it
maybe
wrong
they
if you
didn't
find it?
expect
Yeah.
that to be, to be that way, but like, is that still wrong if you're utilizing the engine specifically that they built for the game, or are you just an advanced?
That's true.
Like, I don't know. Like,
I think for the company
Yeah.
that made the game, some small company I can't remember the name of, you end up winning either way, right? Like whether people play the vision that the core designers had, or whether it becomes viral that you can do all of these weird things with mechanics, and you sell a load more games.
It's interesting you say Breath of the Wild with a game with so much choice. Do you get annoyed when that choice is taken away with you at certain parts of a game, where the way in which you was playing a character wouldn't make that choice that was happening in there? Do you get annoyed when like that choice gets taken away?
I
from
do
you?
find myself saying sometimes when playing, like, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Or like, I probably wouldn't do that. But like, I think maybe I'm desensitized to that
But
feeling.
also,
or
we
I'm
do
used
that
to
with
it,
movies. You watch a movie
Exactly,
and you're like,
right.
oh, come on.
Yeah.
But it's a different investment though, because like in movies we're watching it for 2 hours, whereas you could be playing this game for like 100 hours.
Or for your life.
Or for your entire life.
Yeah, yeah,
Final
yeah.
Fantasy
And then
14.
all of a sudden there's a choice or there's a dialogue option that is like, I don't want to go down that road, or I don't want to do this specifically, or the way in which I've been playing, it wouldn't happen like that. Do you get annoyed at that, or you're cool?
I think for me, like that feeling of like maybe like annoyance is like, it's made me feel that way. So that's interesting, and that's something that's like kind of like fun to explore, because it's something that I imagine the game devs wanted me to feel. So it's like, wow, this is an emotion I'm feeling from playing this game. It's worth it. Like you said with like movies and shows, there's going to be ways that I may not necessarily want to feel, or direction that I may not necessarily want to take it. So I think that's okay.
And it goes
And
back to that
also,
vision of the artist.
Back on the, like, again, with the vision of the artist, if there is a way of playing a game wrong, or if the Breath of the Wild mechanic stuff is wrong, why would they not just patch that out after, right? Since that's an ability
I think
they have.
if everyone's interested in, like, if you see so much people doing videos of like what you said, freezing the rock, standing on it after you've hit it about 10 times, if you take it out, it could cause so much backlash, even though it wasn't the intention that you wanted your gamers to play the game on. Taking it away would be like, no, even though you found something cool, we don't want you to feel like you can have that.
Yeah,
So
stop having fun playing
Stop,
my game.
Stop finding new things in this open world game that you said you could explore fully.
Yeah, it's strange you say it, because like it's almost like a death of the author kind of thing, in which, because I think of like Mass Effect 3, and when that game first came out, the ending was quite controversial, to the point where the fan community around it got really angry and upset at the developers, to the point where the developers had to kind of change the ending that they originally had in the game. Is that right?
I think they just didn't think that through. Honestly.
Best way to
Think it
describe
through.
it,
They
They
just didn't think it through. They were like, this will make sense to everybody. No one's gonna be upset with this. There's choice. No,
Not this time.
no. It needs to be real choice, not like this is a different color. No.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right, now it's time for a quick quiz to find out who is the RPG master or who ain't. Yeah. I'm going to ask you guys a series of questions. I'm going to give you also a choice of 4 answers.
Oh, okay.
You have to choose one answer which you think is correct.
Okay.
First question. For the release of the RPG Fallout 4, Arcade Cloud covered a world-famous song to make a trailer. Which song is it? A, Highway to Hell by AC/DC. B, Hello by Adele. C, Cotton Eye Joe by Rednecks. Or D, September by Earth, Wind and Fire.
Cotton Eye Joe.
Cotton Eye Joe, okay.
I'm gonna say Adele.
Adele.
I wanted to say Adele as well.
Okay.
And I don't know
You can
why.
choose Adele as well.
I'm going to choose Adele.
Okay.
I just think that would be funny if it was.
The correct answer is B, Hello by Adele.
It was.
Damn.
Next question.
Okay.
The Witcher 3 required a phenomenal amount of work. How many people do you think worked on it? A, 500. B, 1,150. C, 1,500, or D, 500,000, but they were all interns?
I'm gonna say A.
I'm gonna go with A as well.
I think it's 500.
500 there, 500 there, 500 there. The correct answer is C, 1,500.
Seriously?
Well, we missed
Lots
it by
of
1,000.
people.
Okay.
Wow.
Next question. Skyrim is known for being incredibly rich and time-consuming, yet one player managed to finish the game in record time. How long do you think it took? A, 39 minutes, B, 3 hours 17 minutes, C, 20 hours, or D, 1 minute 30, but use the cheat code.
I'm
I
going
wanna
on the
say-
3 hours.
I'm
I
gonna say
think.
3 hours as well.
We're going for B, we're going for B, we're
3
going for
hours,
B.
yeah.
The correct answer is A, 39 minutes.
Yeah. I had a feeling.
Next question. Divinity Original Sin was partially started in 2014 through a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter. How much did it receive from fans? A, $221,000, B, $753,000, C, $944,000, or D, $1,350,000.
I'm going to go with $1 million.
I think I'm gonna go with C, and I hope if I get this right, that is my prize money.
I'm gonna go with, just for fun, I'm gonna go with D.
D,
Yeah.
$1,350,000.
Let's do that, yeah.
The correct answer is C, $944,000.
Just shy. Damn.
Next question. In Eternal Sonata, you play a famous musician who is living his last moments. Which composer? A, Beethoven, B, Chopin, B, Chopin, C, Buddy Holly, or D, Justin Bieber?
Should we just go with Chopin because
I think
we got all in, yeah.
all in for Chopin.
All in for
All
Chopin,
in for
yeah.
Chopin.
The correct answer is B, Chopin.
That's what I like to hear. Yes, sir. Come on, yes.
Next question. The RPG EverQuest is so addictive that psychologists have given it another name. Which one is it? A, Evercrack, B, Everroin, C, Evercocaine, or D, Everflix?
I think maybe D.
D, Everflix.
Everflix.
It's just.
Oh
you know
yeah.
what I mean,
Okay.
You know what? Yeah, D as well.
D,
I'm gonna go.
2 Ds.
I almost said A, but
I'm gonna go Everroin for just
Everroin with a B, DDB, okay? The correct answer is A, Evercrack.
Oh,
They
wow.
did?
Yeah,
No way.
You never think a psychologist would use the word crack to
No.
say how addictive something is.
Next question. What is the first RPG to kill its main hero? A, Phantasy Star 2, B, Fallout 2, C, Pillars of Eternity, or D, Last of Us Part 2?
Pillars of Eternity means somebody lived forever. No. Fantasy Star 2. I'm just making
or maybe
something
it's
going on.
ironic.
Yeah, no, I think you're right though. If you put eternity in there, you're kind of hinting at there being a longevity.
He died but come back again, or she died and come back later.
Maybe.
Or maybe the eternity is the memory of the protagonist.
I'll be
Or
honest with
going
you.
to the eternity, you died. Yeah, right. Damn.
Or maybe
we thought we cracked it.
Maybe 1 + 1 = window. I don't. I just want to get philosophical here.
I'm
Right
like,
now.
I don't think the question's that deep. I don't think
We're
it's that
just
deep.
figuring things out here.
I'm just going to say A with my finger in the air.
Phantasy Star 2.
I'll go Pillars of Eternity.
Okay, we've got A and C.
And I'll go Fallout because you started.
B.
So I'm going to assume that that's what that was.
I stutter all the time, bro. I'm dyslexic, innit? The answer is A, Phantasy
was
Star 2.
Okay, well done.
Right, that's it. Let's find out who came first and knows their RPGs the most out of you three. The winner of the RPG quiz is... It's Chocolate Kieran! What? Congratulations,
Well
man.
done.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, well done.
GG's, guys. GG's.
GG.
GG's indeed. Thank you, Chocolate Kieran, Aurie Styla, and Stu for joining me today. And you guys, stay tuned for the top 5.
Top 5 of the best RPG games of all time. The cool thing about RPGs is that there are so many of them. Like, really a lot. So we can play for hours and hours and hours. What's not so cool is when you want to rank them. Not easy, but we like a challenge. Here's the top 5 RPG games of all time. Here we go. The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. A saga where you can make your character evolve, choose their skills, and customize them to the max. Oh, it's a blast. A very long blast. The whole saga has been getting better and better, and in the last part, Skyrim, which allows you to build your own house, and if like me you've been renting what my landlord optimistically describes as a fixer-upper, this is a priceless feature. Worth buying the game in 7 different formats over the last decade alone. Thanks, Bethesda. Dark Souls. It's not easy for a gamer to say what he likes best about Dark Souls. Is it the universe, the characters, the gameplay, the music, the 1001 features of the game, or its unique atmosphere? For me, it's the almost total absence of cinematics. What can I say? I'm like that. I love it when you can just play. Take note, Metal Gear. Fallout. Call me a pessimist, but a game that teaches me how to live and make decisions in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, well, I think that sometimes it can be useful. And then the story is so badass that sometimes you think, if the world is going to end, Fallout isn't a bad place to end up. It's definitely more stylish than a pandemic. Mass Effect. In Mass Effect, not only do our actions have an impact on the story, but even the tone of the answers we give in dialogue directly influence it. When I think about that in real life, I need like 30 emojis to make myself understood. Nice work, Mass Effect. Final Fantasy. Some people will think that it's not very original to finish this top with Final Fantasy. Well, to these people I'll answer 2 words: soundtrack. And then scenario too. Oh, and characters too. Oh, and cinematics. Well, it's more than 2 words, but you get me.